Chosen one, pause at this very moment, for I am reaching directly toward you, amid the hurried rhythm of life, to speak about the direction you have quietly allowed to drift, and the burden that has pressed upon your heart for far too long. These words are not intended for some distant crowd, nor are they a random sound passing through your day. I am speaking directly to you, to the hidden part you often conceal behind a calm appearance, and to the questions you have never had enough courage to speak aloud. Give me 1 complete minute, without allowing your mind to run toward unfinished tasks, unresolved conversations, or tomorrow's worries. You have spent too much time responding to the calls of everyone around you. Yet you have rarely stopped to listen to what is happening within yourself. Therefore, I enter this moment not to rebuke you, but to draw you out of distraction before you continue farther along a road that is making you increasingly weary. I know you are busy. From the moment you awaken, your thoughts begin running through responsibilities, expenses that must be handled, people who need care, and the things you fear you may not finish in time. You move from one task to another, until you sometimes fail to notice that your breathing has become shallow, your shoulders have tightened, and you have been carrying too much anxiety in silence. Then, somewhere within that flow, something causes you to pause. It may be only a very subtle feeling, yet it is enough to make you recognize that this moment is unlike ordinary moments. You do not need to explain it through mysterious ideas or frighten yourself. It is simply a moment in which I have created a quiet space amid the noise, so that truth may draw near without being pushed away by your haste. I have watched you repeatedly say that you will think about it later, rest later, change later, and return to what matters later. But later has continued for too long, and what needs care today cannot keep waiting for a perfect day that will never appear on its own. You have received many gentle reminders before. They appeared as the discomfort you felt whenever you agreed to something your heart wanted to refuse, as the exhaustion that followed, time spent with someone who constantly caused you to question your worth, and as the emptiness that remained even after you achieved what you once desired. I reminded you through fatigue, through doors that no longer opened easily, through plans that were continually interrupted, and through the restlessness that would not allow you to continue pretending that everything was fine. Yet you often told yourself that you would face these things after work became less demanding, after your family became more stable, or after you became stronger. Beloved child, strength is not something you must already possess before you are permitted to stop. Sometimes, strength begins with admitting that your present way of living is wearing you down, and that you need another direction before exhaustion becomes something you consider normal. Do not be afraid when I speak to you seriously. I know you have heard urgent words used as instruments of pressure. Some people made you feel that you had to decide immediately in order to be loved, respond immediately in order not to be abandoned, or prove yourself before you deserved respect. Therefore, whenever something important approaches, your first response is to withdraw, raise your defenses, and prepare for judgment. But I do not come like the voices that wounded you. I do not threaten to take away what is good, force you into panic to prove your faith, or require you to perfect yourself before drawing near to me. You are not in trouble. You are being awakened. The urgency I place within this moment does not carry the atmosphere of danger. It carries the weight of something that deserves to be acknowledged, before you lose more precious months and years. I speak not because I am disappointed in you, but because I see the road ahead more clearly than you do. You are like someone walking through fog, able to see only the next few steps, and therefore assuming it is safe to continue through habit alone. But I see where that road will lead if nothing changes. I see how your exhaustion will deepen if you continue taking every responsibility upon yourself. I see how your heart will become dry if you continue giving in exchange for recognition. I also see the good opportunities you may fail to recognize, because your mind has become crowded with anxiety, doubt, and expectations that never belonged to you. Because I love you, I cannot merely stand by while you call suffering faithfulness, self-neglect sacrifice, and continual silence in the face of harm peace. There are things you have endured long enough, and there are boundaries that must be established so that you do not continue losing yourself. This is not a matter of rituals, rules, or presenting yourself as good before the eyes of others. I do not need you to display a perfect image, nor do I require polished prayers. What I desire is honesty. Look at your life and ask yourself, what is draining the joy you are still trying to protect? Who continually makes you feel that you must apologize simply for having legitimate needs? Which habit allows your days to pass without leaving you with any sense of life? Which decision do you already know you need to make, yet continue postponing because you fear the reactions of others? I do not ask these questions to condemn you, but to help you stop circling around matters that have already become clear. Only when you correctly name a burden can you lay it down. Only when you admit that a door is no longer suitable can you become free enough to turn in another direction. Perhaps you have allowed your direction to drift for longer than you want to admit. You awaken, fulfill responsibilities, solve problems, and end the day exhausted, while inwardly still not knowing where you are going. You do not lack ability. You lack the quiet space necessary to choose again. When you live only in response to whatever happens, other people will unintentionally determine the rhythm of your life. Their demands become your priorities. Their emotions become your responsibility, and your own good desires are continually pushed to the bottom of the list. I want you to step out of that way of living. You were not created to heal every wound belonging to others while abandoning the wounded places within yourself. You can love without destroying yourself, serve without losing your boundaries, and show compassion without repeatedly permitting disrespect. Allow me to touch the heaviness you have hidden for so long. I know there are things you do not speak about, because you fear no one will understand. You have carried disappointment within your family, financial pressure, loneliness within relationships, and the fear that you are falling behind everyone else. You blamed yourself for not reaching the place where you once believed you should be by this time. But your life is not a race against people, traveling on entirely different roads. You are not late, simply because your journey needs more time to become stable. Yet patience does not mean passivity. There are matters I am asking you to wait for, but there are also steps you must actively take. Speaking an honest word, asking for help, ending a habit, restoring order to your days, or no longer returning to a place that continually wounds you. Peace does not grow through waiting alone. It also grows through wise decisions repeated each day. Beloved child, do not attempt to repair every part of yourself before coming near to me. Come with your exhaustion, confusion, and even the parts you do not yet understand. I do not love an imaginary perfect version of you. I love you in this very moment. Change does not begin with shame, but with recognizing that you are still worthy of care, even while much remains unfinished. Rest when you need rest. Say no when your boundaries require protection, and seek appropriate support when the burden exceeds your capacity. Do not call silent collapse strength. A courageous person is not someone who needs no one, but someone humble enough to open their heart after recognizing that they cannot continue alone. Therefore, preserve this moment within your heart and do not allow it to become merely a passing emotion. I am not asking you to do anything dramatic. I am simply inviting you to choose one honest step today. It may be reducing the noise so that you can rest, writing down what is frightening you, calling someone trustworthy, or completing something you have postponed for too long. The step does not need to be large, but it must be sincere. When you begin responding to truth through action, your direction will gradually become clearer. I will not lead you through panic, but through a peace steady enough for you to recognize what must be preserved, what must be released, and which door you are ready to enter. My child, you are not being condemned. You are being called home. You are being called back to awareness, to your true worth, and to a rhythm of life no longer built upon the fear of disappointing others. I speak because you matter, because the days ahead deserve to be lived with greater clarity, and because your heart should not continue carrying what never belonged to it. Do not rush away immediately after reading these words. Breathe deeply, remain still, and ask yourself what must change first. Then begin with one small step, because I do not require you to see the entire journey. I only ask you not to continue pretending that you cannot hear the gentle calling that is leading you out of exhaustion and back toward the path of peace you have long desired. Chosen one, I want to speak to the deepest part within you and tell you that you do not seek abundance because of greed, but because you have grown weary of carrying responsibilities that were never meant to weigh upon your shoulders forever. I know this part of you usually remains silent, always considering the needs of others before thinking of yourself, always paying what must be paid before allowing yourself to consider even the smallest joy. You learned how to survive at an early age, before you understood what it meant to be received, cared for, and assured that tomorrow would still contain enough. Therefore, whenever you think of a more spacious life, hope and caution rise together within you. One part wants to believe that the season of lack will eventually end, while another part remains standing guard at the door, afraid that everything will collapse again the moment you relax. Beloved child, I do not condemn you for this response. I know it was formed during years when you had to keep yourself standing, remain strong, and continue. Even though very few people asked whether you were well, there was a time when money did not give you a sense of freedom, but instead resembled a long list of unfinished obligations. Every amount passing through your hands seemed already to have someone else's name attached to it. Housing, utilities, family needs, debts that had to be handled, and promises you made while trying to protect those you loved. You often agreed before checking whether you still had enough, because you feared disappointing others. Gradually, people became accustomed to you being the one who found a solution. When there was a problem, they called you. When something was lacking, they thought of you. When a plan fell apart, you were the one who repaired what had been torn. That reliability is a beautiful quality, but it quietly became too heavy when you began believing that love meant sacrificing everything belonging to you. You postponed legitimate needs, plans for your own development, and even rest, as though your life could always wait for another day. I want you to hear gently that those years of struggling were not evidence that you had been forgotten. They taught you many things, but they were never meant to become your permanent home. There is a difference between deprivation that empties you and training that matures you. Prolonged deprivation causes you to live in fear and see only what may be lost. Proper training teaches you stewardship, priorities, the value of every resource, and how not to allow abundance to control your character. I do not want you to glorify difficult days as though suffering itself should be pursued. I only want you to recognize that even during those seasons, you learned wisdom that many people acquire only after losing much. You learned to distinguish needs from desires, work with what was available, honor your commitments, and never disregard small things. These lessons will become the foundation when provision expands. Heaven did not train your hands so that they would remain empty forever. I am teaching you to remain steady before entrusting you with greater responsibility. Abundance is not merely having more money. It is also the ability to receive without panic, use without waste, give without exhausting yourself, and preserve without guilt. If abundance arrived while you still believed that you must rescue everyone, you would immediately distribute everything and return to your former lack. If resources increased while your boundaries remained immature, those accustomed to depending upon you could turn the new blessing into an even heavier burden. Therefore, I am not only preparing what will come, I am preparing the way you will receive it. I am teaching you that kindness does not require agreement with every request, and that true generosity does not begin in coercion. I understand the vague fear that rises whenever money leaves your hands. You may trust me with all your heart and still feel tension when an unexpected expense appears. This does not make your faith smaller. It only shows that you have served as a safety net for others for so long that you no longer feel there is anything supporting you. You enter a store and silently calculate the cost of each item before reaching the counter. You look at what remains and tell yourself that everything is fine, while inwardly hoping no further emergency appears that month. You postpone buying something you truly need, deliberate for too long, before spending anything on yourself. And sometimes feel anxious, even when the expense is reasonable. These responses do not make you selfish. They are marks left by a long period of always preparing for the worst. But, beloved child, I am teaching you a new way of living, in which wisdom is no longer controlled by panic. You still need to budget, consider your responsibilities, and make practical decisions. But you do not need to regard every expense as a threat. You do not have to live as though every small joy will later be punished by a major crisis. Learn to create room for both responsibility and life. You are allowed to purchase something necessary without condemning yourself. You are allowed to dedicate part of your resources to rest, learning, and growth. You are permitted to say that you cannot help at this time without writing a lengthy defense of your decision. When you refuse a request that exceeds your capacity, you are not abandoning love. You are protecting the stability I desire to build within your life. At the same time, I want you to stop equating your worth with your ability to solve problems for others. You deserve love, even when you cannot pay someone else's expenses, repair every mistake, or provide all the answers. People who approach you only when you are useful may cause you to confuse being needed with being valued. But being needed does not always mean being loved. Healthy love also asks how you are feeling, respects your limits, and does not treat your sacrifices as an entitlement. I am opening your eyes to recognize the difference, not so that you become closed, but so that your generosity may be offered in places capable of receiving it with gratitude and responsibility. What is being prepared for, you will require a new posture. You cannot enter a season of abundance while believing everything may disappear at any moment. Neither can you manage something greater while remaining afraid to examine the numbers, avoiding planning, or continually allowing emotions to determine the way resources are used. I am inviting you to mature in both faith and action. Know clearly what you possess, what you owe, what must be prioritized, and what you desire to build in the future. Spirituality does not remove practical responsibility. It gives you the peace to fulfill that responsibility with greater wisdom. You do not need to be ashamed of beginning with little. A small plan maintained faithfully can create a path toward far greater stability than an impulsive decision disguised by beautiful words. I also want you to understand that provision may come in many forms. Sometimes it is a work opportunity, a new skill, an idea capable of growth, or a relationship that helps you see a road that was previously hidden. At other times, provision appears as an expense that is no longer necessary, an obligation that ends, or the courage to leave a place that pays you less than the value you create. Do not merely wait for something miraculous to fall from the sky while ignoring the steps I am placing directly before you. Learn, ask, prepare, and act when the door opens. I may provide an opportunity, but you must walk through it. I may give an idea, but you must nurture it. I may bring the right person, but you need the wisdom to recognize them and build trust in a healthy way. You have postponed yourself for long enough. This does not mean that from today onward you must place yourself above everyone else. But it does mean that you must end the habit of always placing yourself last. When you are stable, you can help others without hidden resentment. When you are rested, your service can flow from love rather than heavy obligation. When your boundaries are clear, your generosity becomes a free choice instead of a response driven by fear of rejection. I do not want your success to be built upon the continual starvation of your legitimate needs. I want it built upon order, gratitude, and mature stewardship. Therefore, allow yourself to believe that a gentler life is possible. You do not need to remain forever in a state of counting the days until the next payment is due. You are not a machine created only to handle the needs of others. You are someone being taught how to receive without fear, build without exhaustion, and give without losing yourself. Difficult seasons gave you depth, but they do not possess the authority to keep you there. I am leading you from survival into stewardship, from continual defensiveness into prepared peace, and from merely trying to make it through the month into daring to build a long-term future. Lay down your worries one portion at a time. Do not force yourself to feel completely safe immediately. Healing your relationship with money, responsibility, and hope takes time. Every time you create a plan, instead of panicking, you are moving forward. Every time you say no to something beyond your capacity, you are moving forward. Every time you preserve a portion for the future, instead of immediately giving it away through guilt, you are moving forward. I do not measure you by the amount of money in your hands, but by the wisdom growing in the way you manage what has been entrusted to you. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. This preparation will help you enter a season of abundance without trembling, without abandoning yourself, and without believing that desiring a better life is selfish. I know you are weary in a place deeper than what the eyes of others can see, a place where hope that once shone brightly has become thin because you have had to hold yourself together for too long. You still awaken, fulfill your responsibilities, smile when necessary, and tell others that everything is fine. But beneath that ordinary appearance lies an emptiness you have tried not to touch. You learned to keep every day full so that you would not have to be alone with the questions waiting for you in silence. You filled the emptiness with work, conversations that did not truly nourish you, continual sound, and an endless sequence of tasks. You believed that as long as you remained in motion, you would not have to face the part within you calling you to stop. But, beloved child, stillness has not come to swallow you. I am there within it, not as a weight pressing down, but as a hand holding you when your legs have grown weary. You were not created merely to pass through each day like someone fulfilling an obligation. You were created to be truly present within those days, to recognize light, experience peace, love with a heart still alive, and walk with the awareness that your life carries meaning. There is a great distance between merely trying not to collapse and living with all the truth that exists within you. I know you have felt that distance growing. You awaken according to a familiar rhythm. Do what must be done. Care for those who need you. Resolve the problems that continually appear, and then quietly go to sleep with the sense that you completed everything, but do not know where you yourself truly lived within that day. You became so skilled at maintaining everything outwardly that you gradually stopped listening to the gentle voice within asking, "Can you still feel yourself?" I saw the moment you began moving away from yourself. It did not happen in one day, nor did it arrive through one dramatic event that you could immediately recognize. It happened slowly, through every time you placed the needs of others before your own peace. Every time you swallowed sorrow so that no one would be troubled. And every time you said that everything was fine while your heart was dissolving through exhaustion. You gradually became accustomed to ignoring the small signals until weariness felt normal. You began believing that maturity meant enduring without complaint, that strength meant always knowing how to raise yourself again, and that love meant giving, even when nothing remained within you. But I did not call you into a life in which you continually disappear, so that everyone else may remain comfortable. I am calling you back to balance, where you can love without losing yourself, serve without becoming empty, and continue walking without leaving your heart behind. What I am telling you now carries urgency, but not because disaster is approaching. I do not use fear to force you to pay attention. This urgency comes from the fact that something good wants to begin within you, and every beginning requires a space quiet enough to take root. No matter how precious a seed may be, it cannot grow if it is continually trampled by haste. No matter how fully a door has opened, it cannot lead you anywhere new if you continue running past it without noticing. I am placing within you another rhythm of life, another kind of awareness, and the ability to feel again what was once hidden beneath the noise. But if you continue running as though your worth depends upon your speed, what is beginning to grow will have no place to develop. Therefore, I am calling you to slow down, not to waste your time, but so that you stop missing your own life. Give me this moment without attempting to make it perfect. You do not need to sit in a special room, offer beautiful prayers, or know exactly what to say. Simply relax the shoulders that have carried too much, allow your breathing to slow, and permit your mind to stop rushing toward the next task. You do not need to solve your entire future during these few minutes. No decision must be made immediately, merely to prove that you still control everything. Neither do you need to search for a great answer. Simply listen. Sometimes healing does not begin with a plan, but with the moment when you stop running from your own emotions. Listening is already an act of courage, because it allows what was buried to finally enter the light. I have heard the prayers you never spoke aloud. I heard them in the way you remained silent for too long. After a difficult day, in the times you stared into the distance and wondered how much longer you could continue, and in the sighs you tried to conceal from those beside you. I saw the exhaustion you covered with strength each morning. I know you learned how to adjust your voice, erase the evidence of an unrestful night, and step outside as though nothing had happened. I also know the confusion you silently endured, because you feared that speaking honestly would make others worried or disappointed. Nothing has been hidden from me. You may feel unseen in the world, but there has never been a day when you were outside my attention. I do not see only the moments when you are strong. I also see the times when you no longer possess the strength to continue pretending. I know the questions for which you have found no answers, the fears you have not dared to name, and the desires you put away because you believed you no longer had the right to hope. I was there during the evenings when you turned off every light, but your mind still could not rest. I was there when you wanted someone to speak with, but decided against it, because you did not want to become a burden. I was there when you blamed yourself for not feeling more grateful, joyful, or strong, beloved child. I was not standing beside you to record every time you failed to appear fine. I was there to remind you that you do not need to perform as someone invulnerable in order to deserve love. Hear me clearly. I am not angry with you. I do not look upon you with disappointment, hold a long list of your mistakes, or wait for you to repair yourself perfectly before drawing near. You do not need to defend yourself before me. You do not need to prove that you tried hard enough. I know every limit you crossed, every pain you concealed, and every time you still chose what was good, even while wanting to surrender. I notice the sincere heart behind the ordinary answers you give whenever someone asks whether you are well. That heart has called to me in a language requiring no sound, and I have heard it for a very long time. Your cry for help is not weakness. It is evidence that the truest part of you still desires to live, heal, and return to the peace it lost. I am answering you not through noises that overwhelm you, but through a presence gentle enough for you to remain. I have not come to push you into another race, nor have I come to give you another list of tasks. I have come to help you lay things down. There are burdens you have held for too long, because you believed everything would collapse if you released them. But not every responsibility belongs to you. Not every emotion you feel requires you to resolve it. Not every person who is hurting needs you to become their rescuer. I want you to learn the difference between love and self-neglect. When you continually give without having anywhere to be restored, devotion gradually becomes exhaustion. I do not want you to live like a vessel that is always open, but is never allowed to be set down and renewed.